What's up, guys? Chris from Review Cave here, and today I am giving you guys the most recent chapter of My Hero Academia. So, look, My Hero Academia chapter 278 was a great one, I have to admit. And after a week delay, with it being on break for a week, it gave us time to think what could happen next and what exactly can happen to the students and everyone at the mansion. This answers that question, but also gives us some other questions on to how this could all play out. Because we all know that Gigantomachia has to make it to Jakku to assist Shigaraki at some point. We all know that's the inevitable conclusion to what's going to happen. But this chapter helps give us the possibility that possibly he could be delayed long enough for Shigaraki to get captured and then taken by Gigantomachia at the end, or maybe set up possible deaths for some students, possibly from 1A or 1B. I'm going with 1B because we haven't been with them for too long, so it's possible. But regardless, let's just continue with what has been happening. But before that, this video is coming out nearly a week late because I've had a lot of stuff going on. I was away from home for a little while, so recording some of these videos for these reviews have been weird. Plus, my camera had like a very weird glitch where it will record and not record. It was a weird thing. But anyway, let's move on to what happened in Chapter 278. So it starts off with Jiro actually, in surprise, with her using her earphone jack quirk, realizing that something huge is coming their way. And then the rest of the heroes that are with them get a call to head towards the disturbance, telling the trainees to stay where they are. And one thing Mineta does state is, what could they be facing that would require all these heroes, or would have gone past a huge army of heroes that's currently on their way? So yeah, we got that going on, and then we get a nice 2-page spread again with Gigantomachia being held back by Mountain Lady. As we see this, we get to see a glimpse of the Meta Liberation. Sometimes I can't speak. The Meta Liberation Army, specifically Dabi, Spinner, Mr. Compressed, Toga, and surprisingly Skeptic. I realized this in the last chapter that he was on Gigantomachia's back, but I didn't know why he was on there. And this is pretty much somewhat told in this because Skeptic didn't go willingly. So what's going on is that while Mountain Lady is holding them, the rest of the League members are wondering what's going on, and Spinner literally says that Gigantomachia just showed up, grabbed him, and put him on his back. Skeptic is wondering why he's even here. He has to go and protect Destro. And Dabi's like, quiet. They haven't noticed us yet. So all they can see is this giant hulking behemoth, the walking calamity Gigantomachia, charging forward to try and head to Jakku Hospital to help assist Shigaraki. But they haven't noticed the League members on his back, so that's something that comes into play later down the chapter. So as this is going on, we actually see a few instances of the Meta Liberation Army and the heroes fighting. We see some Getten, and one thing I kind of kept going back and forth with in my recent reviews was whether or not Getten was male or female because of the design. Getten was actually confirmed to be male, which I just realized before reading this chapter. So I'm getting the gender right. It's just the way sometimes when people draw characters, it's hard to tell their gender unless specifically stated, which I admit it's kind of a weird thing. It is my mistake for mistaking it. Some people could have thought of, I'm going to ignore that. So Getten's wondering what the hell's going on as Cementos, the goat, uses his quirk to raise up a ton of cement to counteract Getten's ice and try and surround him in a cement prison, in a sense, to encase him in cement. And I love this because we actually get to see Cementos pushing past his limit, getting super serious and really angry of what's going on. It's almost like, it really does feel like it's a desperate situation. Because everyone pretty much thinks that what happened at Jakku, that they failed to keep Shigaraki from waking up. So that's basically stated because of the Gigantomachia waking up. And I do love how the Meta Liberation Army members, specifically the League members, state that if Gigantomachia is moving, that means Shigaraki woke up early. Then, after that whole thing with Cementos and Getten, we move on to a fight that I can't wait to see animated, and I wish is like extended a little bit to be like a few minutes, roughly like 3 minutes long, 2-3 minutes long. If it's that quick of a, because it seems like that quick of a fight, and it might possibly, and there's a good chance it'll continue next chapter, the chapter after that. It is Redestro versus Edgeshot. Now, Edgeshot is a pretty damn cool character because not only is the meter because he's a ninja, and he's also a pretty gifted strategist from what I can tell, and is good at thinking on his feet. His folding quirk allows him to turn himself into a little like folded needle thing, and this was shown back in the Liberation, back in the raid of the league, the raid against the League back when All For One was about to fight All Might, where he ended up knocking out Kurogiri by using his quirk to like hit a nerve or something, puncture a nerve or something. And at the beginning of this arc, we see him using his quirk to puncture holes through people's lungs so that if they don't want to overexert themselves or hurt themselves, they will have to stop fighting. And I do love, because it seems like a pretty OP quirk if used the right way. But he is at a disadvantage against Redestro because we see Redestro in his hulked out stress form. We see him the same way that he was fighting Shigaraki in the My Villain Academia arc. So, what really does stress this enough is that Edgeshot can't get a good hit in on him to try and like puncture his skin or his lung because the stress marks covering his body it's essentially like another layer of skin from what I can tell, from what's been shown throughout the arc and stuff like that, which makes it very difficult for Edgeshot to try and puncture Redestro's lungs. So it makes it harder for him to fight or to hit a pressure point. So, and as they're fighting, and I love how Redestro comes to the realization very quickly that Shigaraki woke up prematurely because we all assume because they were all told that the procedure would have taken 4 months. It's been 3. So the fact that, and it's also the fact that Gigantomachia woke up and he's standing and on the move. And Redestro unleashes a quick burst of his stress to push away Edgeshot and declares to the entire Liberation Army members to follow Gigantomachia to their savior and liberator, to follow him to Shigaraki. Now, after that, we cut back to Mountain Lady and Gigantomachia in their little grappling stage. Mountain Lady loses her footing, giving Gigantomachia when he figures out a quick route to Shigaraki, takes that opportunity and throws her off to the side, and it seems like she's out for the count, which causes Kamui Woods. I didn't say this earlier. Kamui Woods and Midnight on his back are following Mountain Lady and Gigantomachia to try and find out how to take him down. And I do love that since Kamui Woods and Mountain Lady since they're 2 newbies, essentially 2 new heroes, and Kamui Woods is like in the top 10 now, that they are teammates, and it does seem that they care a lot about each other. From what I can tell, not much is also a rumor that they're dating in the world. That also makes it a bit harder because Kamui Woods literally states Mountain Lady by her name. I forget her name. Damn it. Whatever. And a huge shock because whenever a hero is out in the field, they always go by their code names. So for him to not call her by her code name really states how much he's concerned about her. But we move on because Midnight has a plan for Kamui Woods to get her in front of Gigantomachia's face so she can use her aroma quirk to sedate him and put him to sleep. Which honestly, Midnight is pretty much one of the only characters currently in the mansion raid that can in fact, take down Gigantomachia, like sedate him, which makes sense. So what happens next? As they're reaching his face, Dabi shoots a huge burst of flames at the 2 of them. Kamui throws Midnight past the point of the flames as she realizes that the League members are on Gigantomachia's back. Why do I say lap? They're on his back. But right before she's like, I gotta put him to sleep, if you look closely, 3 marbles show up in front of her. Turns out it was and they turn into pieces of rubble from the mansion and hit Mountain Lady down to the ground. Turns out Mr. Compressed a few of these before Gigantomachia picked them up. I love how this guy thinks ahead, and a really good way to use his quirk. So Midnight is on the ground of the forest, bloodied and hurt, and she's like she can't move. She has no way of doing anything. So who does she radio to help? The only other person there that she knows of that could potentially stop Gigantomachia. She radios Momo. Yes, creating Momo Yayorozu. And so one thing I do like to say, I'm really quick. I'm going to go back into this chapter because I need to look at this really quickly of how she radios her. So what happens is as she's on the ground, she radios Momo to put Gigantomachia to sleep, to create a sedative or anesthesia or something to put him to sleep, because this guy can't be taken down by brute force. He has to be put to sleep. He has to be sedated. As she's talking about this, a group of paranormal members, the Liberation Front members, are behind her, heading towards her. One of them stating, "She's mine." And I love this next scene because this villain lunges at Midnight while she's on the ground, telling her to get sedatives to the other heroes to take them down, and that a quick flashback to Momo's time in the joint training exercise against Class 1B. Midnight fully says that Momo has potential to be a great leader. Midnight turns around and says that she trusts her judgment, and then they lose contact with her. Momo, while everyone is asking what the hell is going on, and Gigantomachia is still charging forward, she's wondering what's going on, because one part of Momo's character arc was that she had a hard time believing in herself and her decisions, and in the final exam arc with her being teamed up with Todoroki, she finally learned how to believe in herself and come up with her own strategies and implement them. This was later expanded upon with the fact when she made that tracking device on the spot and used the 1B member who had the quirk ability Weld, I think it was called, to track one of the Nomu that attacked them, to lead back to the Nomu factory in the All for One arc. And then in the joint training exercise, she had a good strategy, which I believe really helped them in that arc. So having her be the one to lead all these trainees, lead the next generation of heroes, is a really good setup for her. And I love Momo. She's one of my favorite characters in Class 1A. So it really does make me happy to see her being put in the situation on the spot. She psyched herself up, and everyone's behind her. So she says that she's gonna need everyone's quirks, like Mudman, Mushroom Girl. I think Mushroom Girl is there right now too. We got Kirishima, Ashido. We got Jiro, Mineta, Tetsu. We got a lot of characters from Class 1A and 1B. I can't wait to see them because anyway. So before she starts making the sedatives, we see right off the bat, Mount Lady grabs on to Gigantomachia's leg with Kame Woods with her, using his lacquer chain prison to tie her arms around Gigantomachia as he is dragging the two of them around, and they're not giving up yet. And I do love how she's cracking jokes because she's like, "I haven't been this clingy since high school." I love it in shonen or any kind of comic book where the hero in a desperate situation, whether it's holding someone back or fighting someone stronger than them, that they find it nice to actually crack a joke every now and again. I like that kind of mentality because it shows that they're not in a completely hopeless mindset. I know that's off on a tangent, but anyway, Momo creates jars of liquid, which I can only assume are sedatives or anesthesia. It could be a mist. So yeah, there's that. So she gives it to everyone: Ashido, Kirishima, Kaminari, Jiro, etc. And just like, all right, you guys, once you do this, you have to. And then she's cut off by Kaminari, who says a really nice line. Okay, I do have to say this. Costumes, check. On the scene, check. That makes us heroes. And everyone nods in agreement. And Momo tells them to prepare to engage the enemy. And that's how this chapter ends. Now I know this video came out very late, like a week late. Yeah, roughly a week late. But I figured it was okay. So next week we get the next chapter of My Hero Academia, chapter 258, I believe, or 278, 279. My mistake. I need to work on my number skills. But anyway, this is good because not only do we have a potential death for the heroes, because for one, Hawks killed twice earlier on in the middle of at the very start of this arc, and having Tokoyami save Hawks before he was killed by Dabi was good. Dabi is on death's door. Mirko is basically on death's door, and Midnight is possibly dead. And hundreds of other pro heroes were most likely, and civilians were most likely killed from Shigaraki's decay wave when he woke up. So, having Midnight die, she was a prominent character in the series and one of the teachers that a lot of the students really do look up to. Having her die is sad, but also a necessity. I do see possibly one more prominent character dying because we did have a top 10 hero die already. So I do see more deaths in the future. Now, what I'm really excited for is how Horikoshi is going to come up with a good plan for Momo to utilize all the different quirks that these students have. Now, we all know that Momo is most likely going to be partially defenseless because she's going to have to use up a shit ton of her energy in order to a ton of lipids to create what she's trying to create. Chances are she kind of stuffed herself silly before coming here and is basically digested a bit, so she has enough energy for a lot of this. But I do see her being partially defenseless and weakened, and she has to get her strength back up while the rest of the students have to, protect her. One key element is that Midnight did not tell Momo, most likely because she didn't have time, that the League members were, in fact, on Machia's back. Which means, let's say the plan, whatever plan they come up with where they sedate Gigantomachia for a few seconds, a couple of minutes, maybe even an hour. I'm going with for a few minutes. The League members will have to attack the students and hold them off long enough for Gigantomachia to wake back up. So I want to see how this could play out because we could see a huge battle royale between the League members and the students. It'll be a nice rematch because the League members gave a lot of these students a ton of trouble back in the training camp arc. So this will help show how these students have grown even more against villains that have also grown to get stronger. So I do assume we're going to get at least another 2, maybe 3 chapters at the mansion and then jump back to Jakku to see the rest of the fight between Deku, Bakugo, and Shigaraki. But yeah, that's all I got to say about this current chapter of My Hero Academia. I get this video was a bit on the longer side because I had to do a lot of explaining and I had to go back and forth about it. But what do you guys think is going to happen next? Was this a great chapter? Was there more that you expected? Are you happy that Momo is getting her time to shine in this arc and show her potential as a leader? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any other manga recommendations, please let me know. As well as tell me what you believe could happen next, like I just said. But with all that said and done, I hope you guys have an awesome day.